Welcome back to ThinkTech. ThinkTech has been doing programs on artificial intelligence, believe it or not, since 2018. That's 6 years ago. And welcome to the Paul Chung Memorial Lecture today. I'm Jay Fidell of ThinkTech, and I'll be your moderator for this program. Let me first introduce Shirley Daniel, Director of the Pacific Asia Management Institute, the Shidler College of Business at Manoa, who organizes and presents the annual Dr. N.H. Paul Chung Memorial Lecture, which she has been doing for many years. Shirley, welcome. Can you introduce the lecture series so everyone will know what it is and how it came to be?
Thank you, and aloha, Jay, and everyone. The Pacific Asian Management Institute was founded over 40 years ago in 1977 by Dr. Chung, who was an economics professor at the University of Hawaii, Manoa, Shidler College of Business. Dr. Chung foresaw many changes in global economic conditions and business, and he realized how important the Asia-Pacific region was going to become to Hawaii and to the U.S. Dr. Chung was only in his 50s when he passed away over 30 years ago on August 28, 1985. Dr. Chung was born in Korea and came to the U.S. for his education, earning a PhD from Michigan State University. After becoming a professor at the University of Hawaii, Dr. Chung developed the early PAMI summer programs around the concept of planned interaction between students, managers, and faculty from throughout the world who were interested in learning about international business, and particularly the Asia-Pacific region. Over the years, Dr. Chung invited a who's who of international business scholars from both sides of the Pacific to participate in the PAMI program. The Dr. Paul Chung Memorial Lecture is the highlight of the PAMI program and is made possible by the generosity of Mrs. K. Chung, who established the Dr. N.H. Paul Chung Memorial Lecture Fund. Over the past 30 years, in addition to the lecture, Mrs. Chung has endowed scholarships and programs at the William S. Richardson School of Law, the Center for Korean Studies, and the Shidler College of Business. We thank Mrs. Chung for her continued generous support of PAMI and the University of Hawaii. I'd also like to thank Jay Fidell and ThinkTech for helping us keep the tradition of our annual lecture through the ThinkTech platform. Thank you, Jay, for your support of the university and PAMI. This year, our topic is focused on artificial intelligence, one of the most important factors that will impact the world economy, as well as America's national security, and will present opportunities and challenges for Hawaii. The University of Hawaii is working to address these challenges through the development of innovative interdisciplinary research and curriculum supported by a National Science Foundation National Research and Training Grant to foster collaboration between engineering, computer science, economics, and business. In addition to a new modular-based AI curriculum, 3 research thrusts will address the decarbonization of energy and transportation systems, applications of AI to healthcare and communication systems, applications of AI to networks and security, all in partnership with Hawaii business and government organizations. So I'd like to thank all of you attendees for your continued support of our programs. We greatly appreciate your participation in this webinar today as we celebrate the life and the work of Dr. Paul Chung. At this time, I'll turn it back to Jay to introduce our topic and speaker.
Thank you, Shirley, and thank you for the kind words. I want to tell you just one or two things about the topic. We know that AI is going to change our world. It has changed our world already, and it is changing our world now. And increasingly, as Mehdi will tell us, it will be increasingly changing our world. But what's interesting about it is it allows the democratization of these computer functions. It's not limited to the big tech companies. It could be anybody, and it could be overnight, and it could be Hawaii just as well as any other place. So we should be particularly familiar, particularly aware, particularly engaging about artificial intelligence right here. We are the hub of the Pacific, and we can be the hub of the Pacific on AI. So today we want to give you an in-depth, cutting-edge discussion of what's new in the development of AI in Hawaii and what you will want to do with it. First, I want to show you an AI clip to get you in the mood. The name of our avatar, by the way, is Erica, and she lives with us at ThinkTech along with our various other avatars. Over to you, Erica.
Our new world of artificial intelligence has only just started, and it's already a global competition. Without serious effort at home, these competitors will get out in front of us, if they haven't already. And without meaningful regulation, we will all be fair game. In any event, get ready for profound changes. So it's incumbent on us to learn everything possible about the power of AI. As consumers who can achieve fantastic results. As entrepreneurs who can do better business and avoid getting victimized. And as regulators who can keep all of this from going off the rails. I don't have to tell you how fast it's moving. So it's really important to bring AI into our classrooms and our businesses. Given AI's potential, it's incumbent on us to be able to develop AI products right here, right now. Or at least keep up and not be left behind. So let's learn about all of that today with Mehdi Mirakhorli.
All right. You know, she got your name right, Mehdi. That's terrific. Let me talk about Mehdi for a minute. He's an associate professor at the Information and Computer Sciences Department at University of Hawaii at Manoa. Before that, he was director of research at the ESL Global Cybersecurity Institute and an associate professor of the Software Engineering Department at Rochester Institute of Technology. His research interests are in the intersection of software engineering and cybersecurity. That's just perfect for today. He served as principal investigator on research and development grants worth over $15 million. More to come. He has led several large fundamental research and technology transition projects with DOD, the Air Force, Homeland Security, and the National Science Foundation. That should give you some idea of the government agencies interested in this. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Mehdi. But housekeeping, if you have Q&A, if you have questions, please enter the questions at the bottom of your Zoom screen under the Q&A tab. We will have our standard webinar survey at the end. So if you hang around after the program, you'll be able to fill out the survey. It's very helpful to us. And we will record this program and we will send all the attendees the link afterward, and you can play and replay it to your heart's delight. Okay, ready, Mehdi? The question overarching is, why exactly should we, Hawaii, care about AI?
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for inviting me. It's an exciting time to talk about AI. We look at artificial intelligence and impact of that it has on economy over last several years. If we could go next slide, please. I know nowadays everyone knows about the AI. It's a simulation of human intelligence by machine and computer system for automating tasks such as reasoning, problem solving, learning, perceptions, and so on. Next slide. AI has been around for many years, since 1950s with Alan Turing's paper, and we've been using AI on our daily basis. If you went to Google search engine and search for something, you were using AI. If you did shopping, more likely you've been using AI. Amazon decided what item you should see in which orders. And on day-to-day basis, we've dealt with AI. But AI had its own seasons, booms and winters. The first AI winter happened because of funding issues, limited data. The algorithms were very simplistic, rule-based algorithm. We had lack of computational power and hype and over-promising. In 1960s, we thought that soon AI will be able to solve the chess problem and in a chess game would beat a human competitor. But it took actually 30 years till we achieved that. Then AI kicked in again, and in around year 2000, we again had another AI winter because of lack of financial visibility and viability, that we couldn't leverage the capacity of AI to build solutions that change the economy, limited data. But over years, with big data that has been available in the web, we've managed and growth of GPUs and computational power, we've managed to tap into AI capacities. Now we have another AI boom. Maybe AI become pervasive. It takes over all aspects of the life. Maybe that's another boom, or we might have another AI winter. Next slide. The way we can tap into AI capacities and avoid next AI winter is through addressing a number of fundamental topics. We need to deal with security and safety of AI, trust, building AI solutions that are trustworthy. We can understand why certain decisions are made. Explainability of AI becomes very important. Fairness and ethics. Fairness, just not in justice system, but any AI solution that is developed, we need to understand the ethical aspect of AI, fault tolerance, and robustness of the AI. If AI is getting rapidly integrated into every aspect of the life, self-driving cars, etc., etc., we need to make sure there are technological solutions, there are regulations and frameworks that can help us address these four aspects so we don't see next AI winter. Next slide, please. AI opportunities for growth, especially in Hawaii. Next slide. There are many areas that we could tap into. Precision agriculture, for instance, AI can make farmers more productive in using seeds, fertilizer, pesticides, and work more efficiency. Tourism industry has been one of the major economical factors, components in Hawaii. AI actually can renovate and enhance tourism industry by personalized recommendations, improving infrastructure management, eco-friendly tourism. Renewable energy is another area. AI can help managing energy grid efficiency, forecasting renewable energy, ocean economy, and cybersecurity would be another topic that, given the geographical location of Hawaii, all Department of Defense components, contractors, and proximity to Asia, cybersecurity would be a topic of interest that AI could revolutionize. And looking at food industry, supply chain management in food industry can be renovated. New technologies can emerge that they don't even are limited to the region of Hawaii, and they can be leveraged globally. Next slide, please. We can, especially in the region of Hawaii, we can tap into technology-driven economy that all the traditional businesses will change by relying on AI. Not only they would enhance the economy locally, but we can tap into resources that are available globally in mainland and internationally. Now we see a lot of news coming out in terms of analysis of AI jobs that are emerging that you can earn a good salary by being an AI engineer, 200K, and that's something that a lot of our students locally can tap into it. Many of these resources are becoming, job opportunities are becoming remote. It means people can stay on the island. They don't need to go for a high, well-paid salary on the mainland. They actually can remain here, work for the companies that can emerge here, or work remotely and help in development of new AI technologies. That salary is in comparison to the average salary that we see now for a computer science student that is graduating 60K, 70K on the island. I think we see a shift there. Next slide, please. The other aspect, while there are many innovation issues that we can tap into and leverage AI to build next generation of software intensive systems, there are other downside that we need to pay attention. Next slide, and that's disinformation and the whole topic of cyber. If you look at the social media, it's full of news about the role of AI and misuse of AI, in particular related to election. You know, there was a poll recently that most Americans think that in election 2024, AI will have a significant role in producing misinformation. We have seen many news out that how adversaries, China, has leveraged AI to generate contents that are more likely to go viral and impact opinion of people in the United States. And with deep and other technologies that are emerging, there are new abuse cases of AI that we see day to day. Next slide, please. You might have seen this video of Jordan Peele that he leverages deepfake, create a video of former President Obama, and he says things that it appears that President Obama is saying those words in a very realistic video, but those are said by someone else. Next slide. And we see other contents to be produced. For instance, this is another image that has been generated by AI, and it's attributed to China, that China's misinformation engine. And there are ways to identify if these contents are coming, where they are coming. Intelligence agencies, Homeland Security are tapping into those. And this image, for instance, the hand that is holding the torch has more than 5 fingers. And those are indicators of that some of the defects that these AI generator algorithms have had. Next slide, please. The misinformation is getting into many other topics. Climate change is another one that would cause public polarization. People that are exposed to this disinformation, misinformation, malinformation are less likely to support mitigation policies. And a lot of existing social media platforms that we are using day to day, they actually are using AI unintentionally in a way that promotes this public polarization. People only receive the opinions that are closest to their opinion. So you're not diversified, you're not educated once you are on those platforms. Next slide. Another misuse of AI can be in the cyberspace. Using AI, artificial intelligence, large language models, ChatGPT, now you can create cyber weapons of mass exploitations. Basically, you can tap into AI, find vulnerabilities at the largest scale, exploit vulnerabilities at the largest scale. Old days, adversaries needed to use certain tools and generate their own cyber attack, but now you can tap into AI solutions that are out there and automate the process of generating cyber attacks. Not only that, you can look at open source software that the source code is available. You can easily run these algorithms on them and find what vulnerabilities are there, how you can automate that. Then go back to the government sector, private sector, identify where these open source systems are used and implement attack. You can perform supply chain attacks. Those are the type of attacks that now we see coming. And AI can be abused in such situations. Next slide. On the other side, AI can give us faster cyber intelligence and threat intelligence. We can detect known vulnerabilities using AIs with high accuracy. We can automate the incident response plans and strategies. We can secure our supply chain by looking at different vendors, software, hardware vendors that we are using. What are the risks associated with them? AI techniques can learn over time, but also we can use AI techniques to fix vulnerabilities, almost build software systems that are self-healing. When they are under attack, when they have defects, they can identify that they are under attack or they have defects, and they can repair their own codes on the fly. Next slide, please. But there are many challenges and opportunities for workforce, next slide, that we need to be prepared for it. Some of those significant challenges that now are getting very much discussed is potential for displacements of human workers by AI and automations. That's something that always has been a concern, that automations has caused transition in the top type of jobs that have been there. Some jobs have disappeared, but at the same time, that's an opportunity for workforce development because AI is going to create new job opportunities. It could be in terms of AI development, data analyst, and some jobs might disappear, but then there are other jobs that appear, in particularly around prompt engineering. We are seeing around large language model, ChatGPT, a lot of creativity is not in getting the tasks done, is around queries that you form and the way you interact with the AI system to increase your productivity. And that's where area that University of Hawaii with the new program NRT grant from National Science Foundation could have a key role in educating students on the island. Next slide. The skill gap is going to be a major issue. Many traditional jobs might be impacted on it. Now we see a lot of individuals in non-computing degrees are tapping into AI, chemistry, material science, medicine. Their day-to-day activities are dependent on AI, and we want to be able to tap into this opportunity, create educational program that actually could help non-traditional student gain the skills that they need to leverage in AI capacities. Next slide. One of the concern is economic inequality. There are large corporations that already are tapping into these large language models and AI innovation. Then there are other organizations, smaller businesses that may not have the same skill sets to start using AI system, and that may create economic inequality. There are solutions, regulatory frameworks around it. Just a couple of days ago, President Biden had an executive order around this topic that aims to provide economical support for small businesses to leverage AI breakthroughs. Next slides, please. One of the topics that has been discussed maybe over last decade and now is a very serious topic, that to the extent that several government, locally, local government, federal government, and internationally, um, governments got engaged and discussed that maybe we should take a break, not use AI solutions for a few months till we figure out how to address the ethical concern of the AIs, not only for biases, fairness, and so on, but many application of the AIs that really need to have deep thoughts. For instance, autonomous weapons, maybe from defense perspective, it brings capacities that we did not have, but from ethics, it raised very serious ethical questions for these AI algorithms. Are they trustable to distinguish between different kinds of targets? Use of AI in justice systems, it raises very serious questions, not just the use itself, but the data that is being used in training these algorithms. We have learned that actually humans are biased. The data that exists there capture the biases that we had as a human. Now the AI is replicating the same thing. So there are a lot of technological discussion how we can make AI fair. Self-driving car, dual uses of technologies, and we need to shift from ethics washing to ethics shopping. So if you look at major corporations, they all have a web page about AI in ethics and how ethical we are, and we all know how ethical they are. But this is not enough. We need regulations. We need regulations to tap into techniques that we can guarantee that there are evidence that the AI techniques that are used, they are fair, they're unbiased, ethical concerns are addressed, not just a single declaration in a single page. Next page, please. Now we see some of those regulatory issues coming out, and the government is tapping into President Biden's executive order, creating laws, asking several agencies, creating laws and guidelines for making sure that the companies, corporations can comply with those ethical guidelines. Next slide, please. Security and privacy is another major concern. In particular, when we look at the government landscape, Department of Defense, Homeland Security, Veteran Affairs, etc., OPM, Office of Personnel Management, we cannot really fit this data into ChatGPT or large language models. There is a boundary that these data can be used by these LLMs, retrained for the purpose of retraining and other purposes. Privacy preserving technologies are very important. Recently, CISA and Homeland Security has tapped into this topic of secure by design AI, supply chain of AI, bringing transparency, how the AI system works, what data is being used in it, and also developing AI incident databases so we could keep track of issues and address them on timely manner. Next slide. All these concerns have created even new sets of roles and responsibilities. This is an article that a PhD student of mine and myself recently, we wrote about AI/ML security workers as a new role or a job category that is emerging. Now we need to train individuals that they are expert in AI/ML techniques, artificial intelligence, machine learning, but also they understand security consequences of these techniques. Here in this paper, we present a framework that how we can, what is the role, this role, new role and responsibilities, what the skills do they have, how can we educate them, and we provide the framework that these individuals can use to ensure that AI systems are secure and safe and audit them. Next slide, please. Historically, automation had a negative impact on jobs that required moderate skills. Low skilled jobs were not impacted by by automation. But jobs that required moderate skills in manufacturing, these were routine jobs, well-paid jobs that above minimum wage, that it made sense for technology developing sector of the industry to automate them to reduce cost. A lot of these jobs disappeared because of the automations. Then we had high skilled jobs that were often augmented by automations. Next slide. And we see those trends that automation historically have led into polarizations. There are, as you see in the charts, that high skilled jobs increased, middle skilled jobs decreased, low level skilled jobs, non-agricultural jobs increased, and you see in this diagram as well. And another impact of automation was a lot of individuals that lost their jobs actually were male individuals. Next slide. So there are studies that actually shows that um, white male with education degree of high school or below are major individuals in US that have lost their job and are not part of the workforce, to the extent that there was a book that came out, American Crisis, Men Without Job, emphasizing this phenomena that we are observing now. Next slide. But AI impact on workforce is going to be different. I believe the spectrum will be wider. We're going to impact individuals with higher skills and then get closer to individuals with lower skill. And the impact is going to be mixed. There will be some jobs that more likely will not exist in future, but there will be new jobs that is going to be created. And before AI automation only tapped into routine repetitive jobs. But now with AI, we see that AI is even tapping to the jobs that required creativity, one of the unique skills of human being. Now we see AI can tap into those jobs. I believe it's possible for certain jobs to disappear, but who loses their job is dependent if you tap into AI or not. If you continue improve your skill and catch up with this AI evolution, you will have a job in future. Next slide. While I was creating this slide, I basically went online. I thought about creativity of human. I asked one of the generative AI techniques that was out there, if Vincent van Gogh, one of my favorite artists, if he was in Hawaii, how would he paint Hawaii? And this is the painting that was created by this generative AI. There are some copyright or intellectual property concerns. No one knows what we need to do here. But if you look at this painting, you see Van Gogh's style of brush to some extent in the sky, in the mountain, in the ocean and waves. Maybe flowers are slightly different. I don't know if Van Gogh actually would have painted Hawaii in this way, but this is a beautiful painting that actually I enjoy looking at it. Next one. And I repeated the same question, how Vincent van Gogh would have painted Manoa, where our campus is located. And this is the painting that was generated. Again, maybe this is not exactly what the artist would do. Maybe he's not following all the style of the artist, but we see that AI can generate creative work. Next slide. This is my last slide. There's a lot that can be said about this. A few days ago, at the end of October, we had President Biden signs his executive order that bringing all federal agencies together, tapping into the government's buying power to regulate private sector. And this is something that we've seen before, even when it became related to cybersecurity executive order. President Biden's put an executive order out there that if you sold any software to US government, you needed to follow certain criteria and do certain self-attestation, meet certain regulations. Initially, everyone thought that this is not going to impact private sector, but now we see that that buying power of federal government is shaping the industry. Industry in many ways is selling software or technology to the government. And this is very interesting now. Department of Homeland Security, Department of Commerce, Department of State, all departments, national science foundations are coming together, figuring out how we could actually address all safety, security, trustworthy, ethical issues related to AI, but how also we can tap into breakthroughs that AI is bringing to our society.
Mehdi, let me jump in on this for a minute, okay? Because this is really important. It's what's happening at the governmental level. Now, we know that Joe Biden makes these proclamations, uses the executive order technique when he can't get Congress to do anything. And I think we also all know that Congress is not going to do anything. Congress is dysfunctional, and also Congress doesn't understand AI. And they ought to bring you down there so you can address, especially the House, but maybe the Senate also, so you can explain this to them. But my concern is that this proclamation really doesn't go into detail about exactly what the standards will be or who's going to be in charge. And we have a long way to go before we have meaningful regulation. And we have a problem with regulation because we could overregulate. And you talked about creativity, and so we have an industry that's waiting to be creative, including potentially an industry right here in Hawaii. But if you overregulate, it's not going to happen. And the other thing I want to throw into the kit for you to react to is why the United States? AI is all over the world. AI deals with populations, approaching 8 billion. I don't know if you can go down, for example, to Best Buy and buy a large language model or a database that covers 8 billion people. I don't know if you can do that yet, but maybe you will. Maybe you can get that off the web someday soon. And maybe you can do it in a sort of democratized fashion right here or anywhere. So why should Homeland Security be central in this? Why should DOD be central? We need somebody overarching on the top, and we need an international organization. I don't think the United Nations has the skill or the will to do this. I think the United Nations is over the hill. Skill, will, over the hill. And sorry about that. And so maybe it's the EU, maybe it's some other international organization or a bunch of them that can regulate this. But it seems to me that going country by country will lead us to a very non-uniform approach. And we will have different ethics, different cultural approaches, lots of different things, when in fact AI is international as it gets. Your thoughts on those questions?
Very good point. I think we have seen some of these issues in other policies related to privacy. If you remember, GDPR was one of them. Europe did a lot better than US. They enforced those regulations, slightly different than what happened in United States. But that requires an international effort. There are reasons that President Biden have used executive order as a means of enforcing this and bringing regulations in place. I think Congress has to catch up and will catch up. It's 3-4 years that I've heard in DoD community that US has lost AI competition to China. This is a known fact. Everyone talks about it. In the network that I've been in publicly, several intelligent DoD individuals quit their job over this issue that we have lost the competition to China and we may never be able to catch up. There are certain countries in Europe that have started regulating this, but we require an international effort. I know CISA and Homeland Security recently have started to have an international perspective in cyber security executive order. CISA has established partnership with Korea, with Europe, etc. But this needs to be a uniform effort. Otherwise, we are going to have policies and regulations that may collapse and may not be consistent. And AI, US has a need to lead this effort because AI innovation can happen where the data is. And we have major corporations in the United States. We have Google, Microsoft, organizations that maintain our data. And China has TikTok and other type of organizations that keep this data. And data has been a power, but I think we need to lead the effort in innovation, but we need to work with our partner, United Nations, European Union, Asian partners, to make sure that we actually look at fair, ethical, safe use of AI and we innovate together.
You'll agree with me that ethical is capable of many interpretations. I mean, what's ethical for you may not be ethical for me, and so forth. I suggest to you, and I'm interested in your reaction, that any regulation that is ultimately adopted, whether it be U.S. government, whether it be other jurisdictions, whether it be global, is going to have to require courts. Courts where people representing various organizations that want to do something that is of questionable, ethical validity, and other people think, well, maybe government thinks that's not a good idea. We can't permit that. Somebody has to decide. You can have regulators decide, but that's always uncomfortable. Ultimately, I think because these are human issues, human questions of ethics and morality, they have to go before courts. So maybe the regulation scheme has to include courts. What do you think?
I think this is a good point, and I agree that this is very, to some extent, is subjective, and we don't really know complication of this. But in the industry, we see new roles emerging. A lot of companies now they have AI ethic person or they have AI ethic office that they're bringing individuals that have background in ethics. They're analyzing what they are doing in these corporations, and they want to find ways if they get in trouble, and legal teams are there as well, if they get in troubles or not, and how, to what extent they can get away from it. So I think that's basically in a corporation is the job of AI ethic person, preserving corporation interest, innovating, and remaining to a certain extent fair and um, um, in, in regard to civil rights, human rights, etc. We have a body of regulations in terms of labor rights, how you can hire, what criteria can you use. As a human, I don't think we've managed to 100% follow that. There are always issues that happen. But when we bring AI system, it becomes even harder. Um, I think we need to have technologies that allow us to audit AI. Court could make that judgment, but we cannot really make judgments based on case by cases, but we need to have um, technologies that are capable of auditing AI decisions, looking into how the AI system is built, and bringing some transparency so the courts also could judge those. Incidents are examples of it, but there are cases that these AI systems are built from the ground up in a biased way because they relied on data that was biased. So we cannot expect anything else. But regulations cannot specify how it needs to be done. They can provide broad guidelines. Eventually, it needs to be enforced in one way or another way.
Yeah, on the question then of how to enforce it, it seems to me that, and I know very little about the mechanics of AI, but it seems to me that AI is looking at other input, large language model input, for example, and it's checking out among millions or billions of records to find what the common denominators are. Well, if you're looking for an ethical approach, if you're looking for ethical limitations, I'm thinking of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Dave, I can't do that for you, Dave. So you got to lay that in the 10 billion records somehow. And it seems to me that if you have regulation or if you have a court that says, no, Dave, you can't do that, it has to be overarching on top of any interface, and it has to, have primacy over whatever the machine learning finds in that huge database. It has to be on the top. Can we do that? Can we enforce that? Can we get every single AI program to say no, murder is bad, whatever the rule may be? Because we can't rely on AI to have a morality. In fact, for that matter, we can't rely on big tech to have a morality. I think it's clear they all drop the moderators. They do what they want, and if they are in control of AI, they will let AI do what it wants. Somebody has to say, no, Dave, you can't do that.
I think this is a very good point. And technologically, we need to develop new techniques that can safeguard some of these concerns, right? Um, Biases, ethical issues is one, safety is another one. If AI is used in my pacemaker, I need to have measures that FDA has utilized techniques that this is not going to do harm to me. Um, the same as biases, right? So I think those safeguards are important. There is just so much you could do with the training, um, manipulating data, but at the scale that these large language models are trained, you don't even have visibility what is in them. There's so many content out in the web that could create issues. But it is possible that you can innovate using techniques that consume the outcome of the AI, have the principles, reason about it, and maybe block certain outcome, let certain outcome come out, and retrain the AI with these principles. I don't think we are there yet. If you look at ChatGPT, the first few months that it came out, I think that was a very clever public use of this technology because these companies did not know what they could do with it. They could also um, they couldn't also identify all ethical adversarial use of AI. If you look at the few months, I could do a lot of um, implement a lot of abuse cases using AI. Then suddenly all of those abuse cases are blocked. So when you query, when you go to the offensive side of the use cases, they're blocking those abuse cases. It is possible, um, but if we put this AI algorithm in the hands of small businesses, individuals, not mentioning adversaries that are not trained on this concept, we need to be very careful. We need to have uh, uh, mechanisms, not only policy-wise, regulation-wise, technology-wise, that a college student that is graduated is building an AI algorithm can test the fairness of their AI. I think there's going to be a market around that topic very soon.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that we're going to find, I hope we're going to find that big tech doesn't control it because they have no heart. They're interested in making a return for their investors, and that's all. So we have to find a way to impose that, whether it be from government or otherwise. But one thing that could impose it somehow is the democratization of this whole area. I would hate to see the big tech companies control it because I don't really trust them. I would like to see small entrepreneurs, including entrepreneurs here in Hawaii, who can get the large language models, who can get the data, who can find the way to build the software, who can do that on a small scale. You talk about Chat GBT. Fact is that a year ago they were nothing, and they have done meteoric expansion. That could happen here. It could happen at and they would be a player, and they would set standards, and they would be successful, and they would compete with big tech even. So I'm thinking that maybe there's the natural marketplace of AI could be a restraining guardrail against companies that have no heart.
I think that's always the case, and I've talked to many medium to larger scale corporations. A lot of their pain points are startups that are emerging, that they do one thing very specific, but they do that very specific things very well. And I think that's something that definitely will happen and can happen. The barrier to entry is very limited. I know 10, 15 years ago, when I developed AI algorithm, I had to write many codes of that algorithm myself, processing the data, vectorizing, all the pieces need to be, most of that needs to be built from scratch. There were some dependencies. Over the time, we've seen that you have access to many resources. Now, the entire AI algorithm, you have access to it on as a third-party library, open source library that you can use it, pre-trained models, are all over the internet that you can use those pre-trained models, BERT and other large language models. So access to these technologies have become a lot easier. Hardware part, access to GPUs is a lot better than before. Obviously, small companies and individuals may not have the resources that Google, Microsoft, and top large corporations in the country have, but barrier to entry is very limited. And I think where things gets interesting, and that's the experiments that Microsoft and Google with ChatGPT, OpenAI, etc., are doing, is the use cases. I think the use cases are unlimited. They do not even know what you can do with this. And every day I hear new things. Actually, yesterday I had a call with a good colleague at West Point, and she was telling me, government, can we renovate government that you can make better decisions, strategic decisions? You can look at what happened in Maui, use AI to give you some strategies. What are the things that you need to act today? If you didn't act today, what would be the consequence of it? How much US dollar will cost you because you did not make that decision today? I think the use cases are where our student or us here locally, we can tap into, find creative use cases that easily we can build innovative solutions. Then with those innovative solutions come new restrictions, concerns, or we might be able to challenge some of these big corporations because we demonstrate either they're over-promising or they're not meeting uh, the expectations of the society. And some of the limitations that they have, it can be addressed by small businesses. Ethics can be addressed by small businesses. Fairness, safety. You see, time to time, this over-promising have been there. Tesla, for instance, you see accidents happening. We think that self-driving cars are there, but once in a while we see those. Those are the areas that actually individuals with limited resources can tap into, make AI more secure, make AI more safe, make AI technologies more accessible. Nowadays it's very accessible. You can generate a deepfake, you can generate an artwork the way I created, you can create a lot of use cases like this. But even I think we can make fair AI, safe AI more accessible, and that's where uh, we in University of Hawaii, local businesses, Office of Economic Development can tap into those, provide resources for students and small businesses innovate faster.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something that you could develop AI right at UH Manoa, maybe in the computer science department, where you show them how to do that, you take them through it, and you find new uses that have not yet actually been developed,
Uh,
uses for industries locally. I wanted to ask you about, what should college students study? Should they come to the computer science department, some other department? Is this going to be like, computer science in general, where you have an expert department on it, but then every single department in the university is teaching it and using it? Where would AI fit?
I think I wouldn't say everyone should study computer science because the issues that we see are multidisciplinary. We see liability issues. We need lawyers that understand AI. I don't know if our lawyers, as of today, they understand all the concerns that are around AI, copyright, intellectual property. Those are the questions that are not answered. The same as ethics and the same as the specific applications within subdomains. I think every program should offer an AI course. And AI today is where software was 40 years ago when we just or printer start having a software. The software took over our cars or life. Chemists are using software to do their experiments. Medicine, individuals in medicine, medical domain are using. I think those were domain-specific software, but now we need to educate everyone on intelligent software, a software that the code is not deterministic, is not if-then statement, but is a neural network. I think we need to learn how we can use it, even as a black box. Computer science can play a central role in this. College of Engineering can play a central role in this, but we need partnership across the entire campus because the issues are complex.
You know that we have a hospitality industry that was damaged by the Maui fire, but it is still potentially, prospectively in the future, predictably our biggest engine of the economy, and that's on the one side. On the other side is agriculture. We used to have fabulous agriculture. Now a lot of it is dormant. The fields are lying fallow, and so we should reinvigorate agriculture. So in the one case, it's Sitar, the College of Tropical Agriculture. In the other case, it's the Shidler College of Business and maybe the Tim School, where we address tourism. And I wonder if you know of any apps that are being developed in AI in either of those places, or if you have any ideas for apps that could be developed in those places.
I think there are many opportunities. Actually, students in my class, I'm teaching an advanced software engineering that they find an external sponsor to build a software for, and some of them are actually focusing on a software that they could shape their startups around it. So one group has focused on food supply chain using AI to optimize supply chain management for restaurants, that you know what items are you buying in an automated ways, you get some intelligence about it price wise, and I think they're gonna that idea is gonna scale, and I've seen that. Precision agriculture, I think, has a significant impact on the island. It would reduce the import of many ingredients, but also it could increase the yields of uh, the harvest. But also those technologies are emerging. You imagine that you have a drone that before the weed grows in your land, you know where it may grow, and you could do targeted treatment. Um, and those precision agriculture technologies, you could almost sell those technologies globally, not limit that into the country. The other part is that you could actually build the software that sits on those devices. You don't even need to sell the device itself. You don't need to invest in the farming devices. You build a software, an API that you ship that, you sell it to the old giant agriculture companies to use that.
We only have a few minutes left, but I do want to ask you about the macroeconomic question. We saw cryptocurrency, fail, and what's his name, Friedman or whatever his name is going to be in jail for 100 years. That's not a good sign for the market in cryptocurrency. But when Andrew Yang spoke about um, a guaranteed minimal income, and when Bernie Sanders talked about spreading the wealth, so to speak, and doing better for the 99%, that's encouraging. And it seems to me that those guys have some good ideas that could be somehow insinuated into our economic models in this country, into our capitalism, if you will. And it's interesting that both of them have been hired by Dean Phillips, who is a long shot candidate, a long shot candidate for, I guess, running in the primary against Joe Biden. But they bring those ideas. And it seems to me that if you're looking at this new computing power we have discovered, we are advancing, we are creating with now, the ideas that Sanders and especially Andrew Yang have could be insinuated into our our whole economy. Your thoughts about whether AI will affect or can affect the economy?
It is gonna affect the economy the same way that automation impacted the economy. Um, I think that's where the first step is to help individuals that may lose jobs develop skills that uh, save them and bring them new jobs. There are technologies that would augment us and make us more productive, and I think that's where area that we could also uh, augment individuals that have higher skills. For instance, I have a student in class that is software engineer, and he was telling me, I'm afraid to be a software engineer. I was like, why? He was like, ChatGPT is gonna take over my job. He's writing code in automated ways. So there are those concerns that are emerging, but I think AI is gonna be part of it as long as we train everyone to know how to tap into this innovation, creates new jobs that traditionally did not exist, and AI is enabling us to do. And these are gonna be uh, well-paid jobs. Not everyone needs to become entrepreneur, but if you know tap into some of these capacities, your salary from, as I showed, 60K could go to 200K, and that could change many things for one individual, that they triple their salary just by developing the skills, maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years, in the college or post-college. And I have colleagues in some big corporations that now there is a lot of pressure on them to use AI, and these are individuals that did not have AI background. Uh, Technology is going to be part of it, and it's going to enhance the economy, and we need to catch up with that wave.
Yeah, this is something we cannot ignore, or if we ignore it at risk for ourselves, our families, our communities, our country. So, can you summarize? Thank you for answering all those questions, Mehdi. With all of that, could you close and summarize your thoughts and leave your, message for anyone who's watching now or later? And in the process, could you recommend where our viewers can look for additional useful information about AI and AI in Hawaii?
Um, I think it's an exciting time. I know there are some fears of what's going to happen, but it's an exciting time because over the years, technology has made us more productive. We are getting things done faster. We are shifting from some labor intensive. We are getting back to what is the true reason for humanity: creativity. We can focus on creativity and let AI do some of the legworks. For anyone that is interested, I would suggest everyone read President Biden's executive order. There are some interesting resources in it in terms of challenges that we need to address, and those highlight many opportunities. I can see hundreds, thousands of new businesses emerging just around lines of that executive order. Um, in terms of resources on AI, tap into ChatGPT. It would give you a lot better recommendations than me. That's one resource I would tell you. Start using it, get familiar to what capacities it has, what are the shortcomings of that. But we have some resources on campus, College of Natural Science, where we are, and College of Engineering, Computer Science Department, the new NRT program. I think for anyone that wants to get training, those would be interesting resources to tap into. We are having new professional programs for individuals that are outside computing and they want to learn from AI data science. They can tap into that. But these resources are very pervasive. And now I think we are seeing a lot new content coming out around use cases, abuse cases. Educational wise, I mean, we are going to be the center of it on the island, University of Hawaii. Resources that are out there. You don't want to tap into deep technical resources, but I think getting more familiar with the use cases, I would say um, President Biden executive order is highlighting challenges. And I think that's where um, I would suggest every citizen take a look at those challenges and think about those from their life perspective, how they want the AI to address those. It may give them ideas in creating new businesses, but also ideas how they can share their concerns.
And when they're done with that, they can go to the seriously technical sources and learn how to make learn how to make a million billion. Let's have a lot of billionaires locally grown. Mehdi, with all of that, thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming on and engaging with us about it and sharing your knowledge and your manau with our viewers. And thank you, Shirley Daniel, for setting this up. Thank you, Pammy, and the Shidler College of Business. And thanks to everyone for joining the program. And thanks to our ThinkTech staff, Michael Pangolinin and Haley Ikeda, and Maria Sabio and Carol Monlee for their assistance in producing this program. Don't forget to keep learning about and using AI. Let's keep up. Hawaii needs to keep up. And this show we'll play later. We'll upload it on demand, and we'll send everybody who appeared as a viewer today an on-demand link, and we'll put it on our website, thinktechhawaii.com, and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thinktechhawaii. And we will follow AI ourselves. We'll be using it, and we'll be learning about it. And we encourage everybody to follow us following AI. Thank you so much, Mehdi. Aloha.